Hi folks, Stuart Dunn again. You might have seen the first introduction video on setting up some habitat products. We're going to do it again. We're going to use the same 100-gallon tank, and we're going to do a couple of different setups in that. So follow me. We're going into the aquarium playroom, and it's fun in there, so let's move on. So here we are again. We're just going to set up a Kiama background. This is a 48 by 24 background. That size is the outside size of the fish tank. So all of our backgrounds are made to fit inside the tank, so they're a bit smaller than that. And if you have a look at the detail here, this has got great little ledges and things for snakes and lizards to climb on, and also looks great with fish around it. So it also has a bit of the bottom of the tank done, so there's not a lot of rocks needed to decorate the bottom of the tank, just a lot of plants, I suggest. So watch, this is a little bit harder to get in, probably should have a second person, but I'm going to try and put this in on my own nice and carefully. So once again, look at that, we can bend it, so that'll really help installations. So we'll feed it in there. Okay, struggling a little bit, but I've got to take my time so I don't scratch the glass. Okay, you can't break the product. You can basically bend it as much as you possibly are strong enough to do, and it will handle that. So in this case, so here we go. Just got to raise it a little bit. This one doesn't have magnets on it, so what you have to do is you have to just get some of the furthest bits at the back, and you have to just lean this forward, get some silicone, adhesive silicone, squirt that onto those points, and maybe about 5 or 6 or 7 points, and then just push it back here, push them all back, get some props, just little bits of Dow wood or something like that, squash it against it till the silicone dries. So a little bit more installation for that, but at the same time not a lot compared to as if it was all rock and you'd be worrying about it falling forward and breaking your tank. So if you've got reptiles going in this enclosure, then say, or this is a glass enclosure, if it was a wood enclosure you could screw it into place. In this case, if it was for reptiles, then it's a matter of putting some big beads of silicone all the way around, also around the bottom, and securing the whole thing in place. That way the animal can't get behind. And we also can sell you the little bits of colour, the crushed sand and rocks to throw onto your silicone if you want to make sure it blends in so the whole thing looks great. So in this case, moving a little bit, not a lot, so I'm just going to, rather than silicone that, I'm just going to continue to decorate that. Throw a bit of this gravel up on top here as well. Okay, and then we'll just put a few feature or accent rocks or decoration rocks. Okay, so this case, steal a nice one from over here. No, once again, too big. This one looks good. A few river stones, different sizes. Always try and make them look like they're buried into the earth rather than just sitting on top. Okay, now once again I keep using my same artificial plants, and I don't have a huge selection here, so just think what you could do with some real plants. You could make this look pretty special. The main thing I wanted to show you here is how much fun it is and how easy it is to get in there and decorate your own tank and not worry about whether you're going to break it or not. Okay, so I think that looks okay. Imagine the fish or the animals in that. Okay, what I'd love to show you now is just a selection of the bits and pieces. It's very hard to see on a catalogue or on the internet exactly the size, even though it's got the measurements and all the rest. I think there's no better way than firstly you picking up, or secondly me picking it up and showing you on camera. So this piece, for example, each of these pieces have got a story. This came from Central Australia and it's all wind blown. This is not water eroded, it's actually weather eroded from the wind, with the sand in the desert hitting it and causing these great little formations in here. This is one of our best-selling rocks. This is a Decoration Rock 34, and it's been a fantastic seller for us for a long time because it just looks unbelievably real. So we move along there. We've got some other fantastic things. So if you're going to build some reptile enclosures, look at this, just unbelievable. This rock also came from the same location, and when it was turned up over the other way, we turned it over, and guess what? That's what we saw, this weathered out rock pool, and it's just hasn't been touched. That's how natural it was. On the other side of it, which our other side's pretty ugly, but the other side of this rock was very, very flat. So we thought it was a fairly plain rock, but turn it this way, you've got this fantastic rock bowl. So there's a range. That's one of our biggest rock bowls. We then move down to some smaller ones like this, and the advantages of using the rock bowls is it goes in with the same colour of the other backgrounds of the decoration rocks that you've used. So just make sure you remember we've got rock bowls. Then you move along to some of these. They're just decoration rocks, but they're cut very flat at the back, and to go against an enclosure, I keep going back to reptiles, but where I grew up, we used to catch little bearded dragons, or big bearded dragons for that matter, water dragons, all of those lovely things that are native to Australia and Sydney, by the way. And I used to create my own environments all the time when I'd catch those, and some big green tree frogs and things like that. So these ledges are perfect for that, and they can simply be siliconed in place or screwed in place depending on what your enclosure's made out of. Great little flat pieces like that, they just work really well in a landscape. You work from lowest to tallest, so there's a number of items like that, and the river stones like we've used in here to sort of terrace up to this beautiful rock formation. This is another great piece, perfect for, you know, maybe a 3-foot tank and up. I don't think it fits in anything smaller. But I've set this up where I simply get a drill a hole through here, put a little bit of quartz 1/2 inch to 5/8 inch tubing in that, and just run myself a little waterfall, and the water just trickles down, so you form a terrarium type tank for frogs, and it looks superb. So keep that in mind. Some of these other pieces like this, which just sit bang in the left hand corner, sit against the back of the wall, and great for snakes and animals to climb on. But once again, all of these look great for fish as well, so it's not just reptiles, and vice versa. It's not just fish, it's made for all of them. So there's a few things like these two at the bottom here, where this is another left hand piece and this is a right hand piece. So when you put them quite close together in a smaller tank, you form this great little crevasse, and it just looks great, looks natural, looks exactly what you would see if you went to a museum or a really good zoo. And now you can do it at home yourself.